There will be no longer fuel queues in Nigeria in 1 week. NNPC told Channels Television, and Inec is meeting with CBN. President Muhammadu Buhari is also meeting with governors, and the election date is getting closer by the day, and Nigerians will be deciding. We here at Channels Television, we are on top of the coverage, and the 2023 verdict begins right now. There will be no fuel queues in the country again in 1 week. The group CEO of the NNPC, Mele Kyari, told Channels Television in an exclusive interview. And the Inec chairman, alongside 11 senior officials, met with the Central Bank Governor, Godwin Emefiele, on the Naira swap policy and how that could affect the election. Tonight, we'll speak with the vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Datti Baba Ahmed. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is 2023 Verdict, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbale, live in Abuja. Our countdown continues. This will lead us up to the election day, and we are not keeping our eyes away from the clock. It's 17 days to the 2023 polls. Nigerians are anticipating and waiting for the opportunity to elect their leaders in February poll of this year. Get your PVC. Well, the deadline is close, but get it handy, make it handy, and make sure that you vote on election day. Across the country, the talks about the 2023 election is rife. We continue to monitor for you the major stories, and tonight we touch on the main issues. And we have a few of them, and that's why tonight, let's check out some of your election news update.
The National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mr. Festus Okoye, has reinstated the commitment of the Commission to conduct credible polls in the 2023 general election. While answering questions from journalists in Umuahia, the capital of Abia State, Mr. Okoye notes that no eligible voter will be disenfranchised as the Commission will deploy technology. And back in Abuja, Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has ordered the People's Democratic Party not to take any action aimed at suspending or expelling the Rivers State Governor, Nyesom Wike, from the party. The order was made upon an ex parte motion filed by Mr. Wike against the hierarchy of the PDP. By the motion, the applicant is praying for an order maintaining the status quo and staying all actions in this matter relating to the threat to suspend or expel him, pending the hearing and determination of the originating summons. The governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress in Kaduna State, Senator Obasani, has promised to run an inclusive government devoid of any discrimination if elected governor of the state. The APC candidate made the promise when he took his campaign to the Igbo community in the state, where he promised to include non-indigents in his cabinet, as well as ensure an even distribution of dividends of democracy to all parts of Kaduna State, irrespective of the geographical location. And down in the southeast, the Enugu State People's Democratic Party Campaign Council has denied allegations of forgery of the National Youth Service Corps certificate against its governorship candidate, Mr. Peter Mba, describing it as a conjecture of an indolent opposition and the last kick of a dying horse. The campaign council said the opposition in Enugu had since come to terms with the fact that they had no prospect in the 2023 governorship election and therefore resorted to smear campaigns. Staying in the southeast, the Imo State Governor, Hope Uzodimma, says his administration will stop at nothing in going after and prosecuting anyone under any guise and status responsible for the unwarranted killings in Imo State. Addressing APC members from the ward and local government levels across the 27 local government areas in Owerri, the Imo State capital, the governor frowns at what he describes as a continuous persecution and intimidation of APC members in the local governments by opposition parties who are hiding under the guise of insecurity in Imo State to stop APC members from campaigning.
Thank you so much. And there you have it. You're being up to date with your election news updates. The program is interactive. Don't forget that. And you can be part of the conversation we are having right now. And let's get your views on the topics we have for discussion. So tweet us on these handles that you have on your screen using the hashtag 2023verdict, or send an email, if you will, to write to 2023verdict@channelstv.com. Well, you remember that we put out a poll asking you this question, that what the issues you would like the candidates to campaign more on or focus more on when they get into office. And some of you who participated in the poll on YouTube, on Twitter, this is some of the outcome of the poll. Just stand by, everyone, because from tomorrow we'll give you yet another poll. One thing that will get the conversation around this election going. So this is how you polled. And so we are testing the temperature, which is, of course, some of the issues that were propelling and pushing the narrative in this election. Some of these issues that can change the trajectory of how the state of the race is going. So let's check out the state of the race right now. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Mr. Atiku Abubakar, today continues with his presidential campaign in Bauchi State, where he assured citizens of the state that the crude oil production in Bauchi and Gombe State would not suffer any setback if he is elected president. He also promised that the rail transportation in the region will be revived for easy movement of goods. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Inec, has met the governor of Central Bank, Mr. Godwin Emefiele. The Inec chairman was accompanied by 11 national commissioners. He's meeting with the CBN governor because of the CBN unique roles in the conduct of elections. The meeting is particularly focused on the recent cash withdrawal policy of the central bank. According to the Inec chairman, the commission is challenged by this policy as there exists lots of services the commission must render with cash. President Muhammadu Buhari has met privately with chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum, Mr. Aminu Tambuwa of Sokoto State, the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum, Atiku Bagudu, and the CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, also the Chief of Defense Staff, as well as the EFCC chairman, Abdulrasheed Bawa, at the council chamber at the presidential villa. The meeting, originally scheduled with the Nigerian Governors Forum, was cancelled for reasons not clearly stated. The presence of the CBN governor, however, gave indications that the meeting was organized ostensibly to discuss the cash swap policy, which has for days elicited public outcry, particularly from the governors. The Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, is accusing the opposition of turning the Naira swap issue into a political game, which is meant to make Nigerians suffer more on the altar of unquestionable political gatemanship. He was reacting to the action of some political parties who went to court to obtain an injunction restraining the president and the central bank governor from extending the February 10 deadline of old notes. Thank you so much, everyone. Before we get started with our conversation, for a lot of Nigerians, those of you who perhaps are watching this program on your mobile phone and you are probably in the filling station trying to get fuel into your car, well, the NNPC is telling us that in 1 week, the queues will go away. It's part of the conversation tonight. I just want to give you a snippet of that interview we'll be showing you much later on the program.
In the next 1 week, I'm not saying that you are going to have zero queues in the next 1 week. No, I can't guarantee that because a number of things are out of our control, and of course the market forces will determine some of these issues. But I believe that we are going to see substantial and relative ease compared to today in the next 1 week. I apologize for this situation on behalf of all of us in the stakeholders in the oil and gas industry. Definitely not surely exclusive.
That is the Group CEO of the NNPC. You'll get to hear from him much later on the program. Stay with me, everyone. Let's get to talk with my first guest on the program, who is a running mate to the Labour Party presidential candidate. Senator Datti Babahamed joins me live here in our election studio. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure and duty.
You, you look a bit calmer today. Guess because you're not on the road.
I think I always look the same. I'm
And
very
then
calm.
compared to when we see you on the podium.
Oh, well, then you're drawing the attention of Nigerians. So, yeah.
So how is it going for you?
It's
And
going
your campaign?
very well, to say the least. It's going super.
The steam that we see and the push that we're seeing on social media, is it meeting the expectation on the ground?
The one on the ground is superseding that on the social media, in reality, especially when we came to the north. What we saw in the north from when we started in Kaduna was completely what our opponents never thought will happen.
And what is that?
The turnout was huge. The quality of turnout was impressive. The conduct of the rallies, and the aftermath of the rallies, the continued ripples that followed every rally that we said, the synthesis of the news, the information we gave out to Nigerians and how they reacted, how they believed us, how they walked with what we said. And you could see how our success unsettled the two other parties that have been struggling for the second position. And further actions they've been taken to try catch up, try pull us back. It's all from the successes that we have been recording. Labour Party on-ground performance actually is above social media performance.
Does it trump your expectations, though? Did you think that you were going to get that kind of following and that kind of response?
Honestly, it was slightly above what I thought, but it was far beyond how others were just playing us down. I knew that they were playing us down to their detriment. Yeah, but then the result turned out slightly better than what I expected.
I mean, but the turnout in most of the rallies are not exactly the same. Some of them, they are underwhelming, are they?
None was underwhelming, in reality. None was underwhelming.
You had your venues filled to capacity at every event?
Well, look at the venues. There are venues that, you know, were oversized venues. For example, in a state like Kebbi, and we get the race course. Race course is where horses run, because the government wouldn't give us what we wanted. Now, we demarcate where exactly we think we will fail, and it is filled. However, I want to move away the thinking of Nigerians from filling a venue. How about filling the hearts of Nigerians? Filling the hearts of those who fill the nation. I mean, everybody in the country is suffering from insecurity. That is an arena already filled. Everybody is feeling the pinch of Naira swap, corruption, failing infrastructure, and everything. These are all arenas filled. So look, what is there in just filling a space? Peter Obi and I are actually contesting 2023, but at the same time, doing things differently. Because whoever does Nigerian election the same way, the same exact way, is about to fail. Yes, they've been deceiving Nigerians that were only on social media, so it became necessary just to show what we're worth. And believe me, we only gave a little out of our power in filling those venues.
All right. So
where we have actually been given a lot more, not on filling the venues. We could fill 10 times more those venues. But then the import of it is less than educating Nigerians drawing Nigerians to unite. Unite against ethnicity and religious politics. That is more important to us.
Mr. Datti, they remember the last time you and I were having a conversation in one of our studios here, and we were having a conversation around vote in the North. From at this time and compared to that time, has anything changed?
Yes.
What has changed?
We have women rising to the challenge now, more than we thought. We have the youth uniting, particularly in the deep north. I'm talking about in Sokoto, in Kano. I'm talking about in Bauchi, in Niger. The women in Niger were just too good for us. All over the north. Gombe was phenomenal. Adamawa was far beyond our expectations. We went to southern Adamawa, Numan, we went to Mubi, we went to southern Gombe, we went to southern Borno. The youth, the energy in the youth in southern Borno is nearly unbelievable. These are the things that have changed. And our politics, like, no one is really asking for money. They are simply asking, please remember us. Remember your promises. We just wanted to see you, to know that you're real, you're alive. That's all they wanted. We were there. All they wanted to see was just to see Peter Obi, hear a little from him, and then, look, just go ahead.
Yeah. I'm going to get to the
what has changed.
Yeah.
What has changed was that the northern Nigerian votes that were waiting to make up the difference, which either of the two other runner-ups were hoping to get, turned out that they are not getting it. The heavy punchers, Kano, for example, is now a watershed of what its votes used to be. In 2015, the 1.9 million votes, Kano, nobody can aspire to have that, which of course Buhari punched Jonathan with, the final blow. Nobody's going to get that in Kano. Kaduna, Katsina and the ungoverned spaces. Kaduna and the rise of the youth. My presence and the increasing awareness of uniting Nigeria. The non-indigens all over northern Kaduna State, in central Kaduna State, and all those things.
So you think you're going to pull a lot of weight in Kaduna?
We have.
With the presence
we have pulled a lot of weight beyond the comprehension of the two runner-ups. We have. We're not that we're going. We have done it.
Well, I'm asking because you are from Kaduna State.
Yes.
And so you think that will also spur your people to come behind you?
Absolutely. Sure, look at it. During our campaigns, I've been saying this in arithmetic terms. Out of 18 political parties, 15 have more or less, fallen behind. They have actually fallen behind. Out of the 3, 2 have misconfigured themselves to be able to win an election in Nigeria. That leaves only one party standing, leaves only one team standing, Obi and his running mate. It is easy for everyone to see. This is the reality on ground in Nigeria. In today's world, it doesn't make sense.
So let's go into a few...
In today's Nigeria, that configuration, which I don't have to tell you what it is, does not give any semblance of justice. It is simply not right. You can't do that in today's world, in today's Nigeria. I mean, the people have advanced. Nigerian history has shown that power must rotate. 2 political parties have, A, misruled Nigeria for 24 years. B, have misconfigured themselves. C, have been unable to campaign on the real issues, except one party that is standing, Labour Party. This is as good as done. We're just waiting for the day. I'm not too confident. I never take things for granted. But now I believe more and more in Nigerians. I believe in the capacity of Nigerians to do the right thing.
Let's get into some of the issues, and I will touch on the capacity, because this is what is important. Anyone who wants Nigerians' votes as of today needs to prove his mettle and how he or she wants to rule this country. There are a few issues on the ground. The Naira crisis that we're seeing, the fuel queues that we're seeing around the country. Has that impacted on your campaign in any sense?
In the last 1 week, the disgruntlement, the pain of Nigerians has, of course, added to the appeal of labor. However, we're quick to remind them that, look, labor is here for good. And our politics has been here ever since. Peter Obi and myself, our love for the progress of our country is not only when you have crisis, it has been our lives to serve Nigerians. What to think about now? For example, the leading news of today, that after 1 week, there will be no fuel scarcity. Who is that meant to deceive or impress? These are the kind of things that we don't encourage. Heaven was promised on earth in Nigeria 8 years ago, 12 years ago, 16 years ago, 24 years ago. We didn't see it. Less than 3 weeks to election, somebody comes out to tell you that in 1 week, which is 2 weeks to election, you will not see it. Come on, wake up. Nigerians, listen to what we've been telling you. Do not allow yourselves to be deceived anymore. Only one system faces Nigerians and discusses issues: the labor system. We never face, and I draw the attention of Nigerians that whoever stands to tell you that your security has improved does not mean well for you, for Nigeria, for your future. Now you do ways and means and clear out the fuel queues. What happens in June 2023 to February 2027? What happens then? And then another 1 week and another 1 month to election. The next GMD of NNPC will come and say that there will be no more fuel scarcity. This has to stop. We're stopping it now. And it will not happen again. It will not happen during our system. Not the way it is happening now. There will be teething problems. There will be inertia, societal inertia, administrative inertia, political drawbacks, and all those. With time, we'll defeat them and we'll get Nigeria running.
There have been questions as to who can do what, who has a track record, how would they, whether or not the Peter Obi, Datti pair has what it takes to be able to rule Nigeria with the current situation, lead Nigeria in the present situation.
So others can rule, we will lead.
So do you have a solution? Assuming you got into office today, for example, the Naira crisis, the Naira swap controversy that is ongoing, what is the position of Obi Datti on that matter?
Currency swap is a sovereign matter. Buhari's government is a legitimate one. They were sworn on the Nigerian constitution and they have the powers to do it. However, they don't have the powers to put Nigerians under stress. That's the power that they don't have. They swore to promote our welfare and protect our lives and property. We cannot take away that power from them. And if a preceding government, an outgoing government changes currency, an incoming government to go and change another currency or take it back to the old one, we will just be overheating the system. Changing the currency is not what was promised Nigerians. Improved, stronger Naira was what Nigerians were promised. CBN found itself proliferating its responsibilities. Election and electoral matters have nothing much per se to do with CBN. CBN is monetary policy, not even fiscal policy that they've engaged in severally. So for CBN to engage in anything besides whatever CBN is to do regarding the currency has to be strictly economic, financial, and monetary, not electoral. Be that as it may, they've already done it. Our position is that when we come into power, we will move Nigeria, for example, from consumption to production. We will end fuel subsidy scam. We will end the multiple exchange rates. We will stabilize the Naira, try and improve the exchange rate of the Naira. We will seriously fight corruption to the barest minimum. We'll get Nigeria working. No more ASU strikes. Everything that we've been promising before now. Too many to list all of them now.
There are those who are also critical about the situation of the country and perhaps trying to...
You asked me about capacity. Indeed, if there is any team that has capacity, sorry to cut in, it is Obibaba Ahmed. I normally say that self-praise is an act of ignorance, but this is politics. If you don't say it, nobody will. You've asked me. We have the capacity to develop Nigeria. We have the capacity to rescue Nigeria. And Nigeria will never be the way it was for the better. We're going to change Nigeria for good. Why? Our records, only us that our records speak for ourselves. Look at the combination. Look at his records. Look at mine. He's been out of government for 8 years. No one has taken him to EFCC or any controversy per se as such against his name. He only keeps waxing stronger and stronger. I don't talk too much about myself, but see the relationship between myself and, even though I'm too small, of course, but the Buhari regime, anybody, someone told me, anybody who says 10% of what you say to the Buhari government would either have had his business taken away, he would either be in trouble, trumped up for one thing or another. But God so kind to me, I have been where I am up till today, because our records speak for us. We created wealth. We didn't make it in government. No, we didn't make it in government. We created it. We're still living by on what we're able to make. The others do not. The others made their money out of government, their fortunes, their wealth out of government. It is stupendous. They cannot die and leave it. That is why they will spend that kind of money before they die to make sure they buy Nigeria. We're saying no. No governor has ruled for 8 years without borrowing. Peter Obi did. No governor left 75 billion naira 2014 value to his state. Peter Obi did. No governor refused to sign for him to collect money from his state. Peter Obi did. 360 members in 2006 were sold houses in Apo. I'm not saying that those who bought did wrong. I didn't agree with the principle. I didn't buy the house. Everything we tell you is there for you to go and verify. Nobody is talking about issues the way we're talking today.
So based on principles, you think you are better than the rest?
Look, with all humility, listen, with all humility, I have built 2 universities from scratch, from nothing. That's why I said, if out of government I helped in educating 19,000 people, if I'm in government, I can help in educating 119 million. ASU will not be on strike. If Peter Obi can create the kind of businesses that he did out of government, when in government, expect 1,000 to 10,000 times more businesses from him. We have the ideas.
Yeah,
we have the energy.
Yeah.
We have the character people trust. We have the commitment people can see. We have the compassion that people can touch and feel. We have the commitment that people can go and verify. were different.
All right, let's take a pause here. We'll take some commercial break and we'll come back. We'll look at your chances. There are a lot of criticism. Those who said he saved money but he couldn't save people. He did this, he did not do that. We look at the capacity in comparison to all other candidates on the bill, and we'll come back and discuss with Senator Datti Ahmed, the vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party. And we're back. Stay with us, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Senator Datti Ahmed, vice presidential candidate to Peter Obi of the Labour Party, is being our guest on the program tonight. Thank you so much indeed for coming. There are a few words that have been used to describe yourself and your principal, largely your principal. Things like he cannot keep promise, he's ill-equipped, he saved money, not the people. These are questions on the capacity which, the conversation which we began earlier. And there are a lot of promises that are usually being made on the podium during campaigns. But the reality is when you get into power, the dynamics are totally different. With the debt burden that the nation presently carries is reflective in the budget of this year. There must be an out-of-the-box thinking. Is there something that is out of the box that we have not heard before, that you and your principal have in the offing?
Not only is there, are there, and yes, there are. But having come so far and having chosen to maintain all that we have put forward now, we would continue campaigning with what we have put forward, improve security, unite Nigeria, improve the economy, stabilize the currency, the scam on subsidy, exchange rate, and everything. We have tools at our disposal, and these are, like I have said in the first part of our records. We promise, we deliver. I have said it before. Talk is cheap, talk is easy. Listening is risky on the side of the people. Believing is even dangerous. It behoves on the listener to trace back the history and records of who the speaker is, and entirely your responsibility to determine, is this team able to deliver what they said? This is what Nigerians are going to do on 25th February. We have records. Peter Obi's name is well known. Where he came from is well known. Schools he attended, well known. Age is well known. Records are not in doubt whatsoever. The same applies to me. Nothing is in doubt. No international controversy, no court, international criminal court or international criminal case against us. What has been following us? One business name after another business name after another business name. People can always construe out of anything. The people can call white black. They are not asking questions on Peter Obi or me. Those people are putting questions against themselves. What are their motives for asking such questions? Good people are in short supply in a political system like ours. Where do you find the likes of Peter Obi? They come once in a generation.
But it's, so some will argue that why do you think that Peter Obi is suddenly so different? He was the running mate in 2019 to the PDP.
Good question. Can I give you an answer?
Go ahead, please.
Good. Why is he different? Because in 2022, he left PDP. He left his ambition in PDP because he could no longer tolerate the commercial nature of PDP. And this was like 24 hours after I did the same. There is always a point in time where you can tolerate so much it gets to one point that, look, it can't happen anymore. One thing in life is that when you can do, you do. When you can't do but you can say, you say. When you can't even say, you can only lament in your mind, you do. This is what is happening. It got to a point when in 2022, Peter Obi could no longer just be lamenting, he could act. So he acted and left the commercial PDP. This is a political party that led Nigeria for 16 years and had power taken away from it. They promised to be reformed, but when the primaries began, it was worse than before. There is no way any party that behaves this way, no way absolutely that they can ever fight corruption.
It takes me back to my initial question.
Yeah.
We are in a tough place,
Yes.
a rocky place as a people.
Yes.
Beyond the promises, Nigerians want to be assured that you really have the solution. Where will you get the money to run the country? How will you hit the ground running? You say that you want to take Nigeria from consumption to production. That will take some time. What is your timeline? Where would you get the money? What is the creativity that you are bringing on board?
In the first 100 days, by the time we sort the problem of subsidy scam, and we're able to deploy Nigeria's wasted funds into healthcare and education, you begin to feel it. That my principle that I've been speaking about forever, about fair procurement, you will see that the money that Nigeria has already is achieving more, is delivering more. Infrastructure, security, public service, health, education, in everything, because we have removed, I repeat, from day one, we're announcing that we have removed personal, political, and group interest from Nigerian financial affairs. That delivers more. Does that begin to answer your question?
Go ahead, please.
Right. That more than multiplies what is delivered to Nigerians. Our moves on security, when we said that we're going to dialogue, which is a very, very short, we dialogue after that, we'll make them understand there's only one sovereign power in Nigeria. We move on with it. When Nigerians can move freely in their country, that air of liberty, you're already adding. When we begin to meet our OPEC quota, when we block out all leakages in internal revenue collection and all is trapped and used judiciously, you would be having the kind of money that you will start all the projects we talk about.
Do you envisage some pushback? The system will push back.
They will push back, we beat them.
I mean, do you envisage the possibility that your party,
Yes.
should you win the election,
Yes.
your party may not have a majority in the National Assembly?
Yes.
Do you envisage it? How are you going to play around that?
Look, the presidency is an organ in the arm of government. It is the top organ in the executive arm of government. It has enormous powers. It is not a legislative matter to meet Nigerian OPEC quota. We don't need to go to the National Assembly to meet that. To resolve the issue of security, it's only the budget we send there. And our budgets are going to be radically different.
What would be different in your budget?
Waste.
Like what?
Waste like what I've been telling you, subsidy scam. That's a major, major one.
But the government of the day has already said, by law, actually, by expiration of time, subsidy will end about the mid of this year.
Yeah.
That is almost statutory.
After it has gone for how many decades? Or for how many years? After it has gone on for how many years?
Well, like, what kind of cost of governance are you hoping to cut? For example,
yes,
that we've had governments, politicians in these countries say, if we get into office, we cut down on the fleet, in the planes in the presidential fleet. We've seen very tough statements being made, but when they get into power, there's a different kettle of fish entirely.
Yes.
When you talk about cutting cost of governance, what exactly does a Peter Obi Datti really think about cutting cost of governance?
Right. If you want me to go that, forgive my language, that low, Peter Obi and I, okay, we have had these luxuries even before we came to power. So they mean nothing to us. I try to avoid speaking on what I don't have the total control over. If I were to have total, and Peter Obi as well, total control over the PAF, Presidential Air Fleet, it will not exist when we're there, the way you see it today. Maintaining the presidential villa, the amount of money spent there will not happen like that. These unnecessary long convoys, unnecessary travels and fleet, and the number of people that come, security votes and all those kind of things, they will not happen under ours. I can tell you this for sure. To what extent, I don't want to be wrong.
If you and your principal say you will not be going to all of these many trips, what about people in government? What about the civil service?
That is why I told you that from the budget we submit. Remember, I'm into education. So I would like all those headings for foreign trips and conferences and their likes and the extra costs that go along with them. I would like them sensibly reduced and those monies spent in Nigeria. That is how we're going to address the budget. Miscellaneous, contingency of miscellaneous of contingency, all those kind of things will go. But something that is really not being understood, and I want to really reiterate it now. When Peter Obi and I announce and effect the fact that we have removed all personal, group and political interests from the procurement of Nigerian governance, you have already multiplied by a high factor what is coming to Nigerians. That is good governance. No government has done it before. We are ready to do it on 29th of May.
Let's wrap up this way. There are a lot of your friends who have supported your ambition. What will be their lot when you get into power?
Good governance. That's it.
You will fence them out?
Sorry?
You will fence them out?
I don't fence friends out. Don't change my lifestyle. The way I was before I became rep member or senator is how I've always been. When I become a vice president, inshallah, I'll remain the same. If I see you, I'll recognize you. But you will not touch government money. That's it. If you have the industry, the enterprise, I will help you. Whoever you are, I don't know you, friend, relative, better not relative. You are a Nigerian and you can stand for yourself. There will be no wealth without enterprise, according to Peter Obi. And I totally agree with him. That's the right way to put it. I was looking for the long way to put it. He says, no wealth without enterprise.
On the final note,
okay.
Senator Datti,
yes.
Should you and Peter Obi lose this election, would you have a try again?
We try not to speak so much about things not under our control. Remember, when in June 2022, when I withdrew from the governorship contest under PDP in Kaduna State, and I walked away from them, on the grounds that they were selling votes, I never thought I would accept to be vice presidential candidate. However, to answer your question, I am worried that if Nigeria does not get the right leadership, don't get me wrong, the right leadership that will rescue Nigeria in 2023, you may look around and not find Nigeria the way it is.
And what is right leadership?
Sorry?
What is the right leadership?
The right leadership are those who will rescue Nigeria, and there's only one team right now who will rescue Nigeria, Obi Baba Ahmed. And I'm very serious about it because it is true. It is real and present danger that we're toiling with.
All right. Senator Datti Baba Ahmed, running mates to Peter Obi, the candidates and the flag bearers of the Labour Party in the 2023 presidential race. Thank you so much indeed for coming on tonight.
Pleasure.
I appreciate it. I hope to see you again before the election.
Anytime.
Thank you so much.
Anytime.
And so we turn our attention to our exclusive conversation with the group CEO of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mr. Mele Kyari. We sat down earlier with him and we started a conversation about what is the real cause of these long fuel queues that we see across the country. And this is how it started by explaining to us.
Maybe shattered may not be the right word to describe the situation. We have a huge logistic challenge. And this has been persisting in the last 4 to 5 months, as you have rightly pointed out. But how did it start? I think it's important to know what happened. First, there was a glitch in terms of road failure around certain axes because of the flood that we have. Nobody has control over flood. I'm sure you'll agree with that. Once that flood happened, we are unable to evacuate product from one location to the other efficiently. And mind you, in this country today, our redundancy around 3 days as a result of the huge logistic challenges that we have in the country. Once you have a glitch of 3 days, you will have a challenge of resolving this minimum of 3 weeks. This is very, very understandable. This is the reality that happens. So once you have that situation, a number of things come into play. What comes into play? Number one, arbitrage will come in. Now, people would like to take advantage of that situation. They will move product from where it is sold cheap to where it is sold expensive. While you're having the same volume, because it will make sense for business people, and that's greed also, by the way, let me qualify it properly. Greed will push people to hold the product even in their tanks and in their locations so that they're able to sell it at maximum price. So once we had that glitch last year, it's a very cyclic thing. So that you continue to see interventions that you have to do. But as you're doing this also, there are changes that happen that nobody saw it coming. It wasn't planned. It wasn't anticipated. And what change came? For instance, once product land into this country, you have to take them by small vessels, we call the STS vessels, the ship-to-ship transfer vessels, to the depots. Or some of the vessels are actually able to deliver right straight into some of the depots. Now, the cost of hiring those vessels shift from about $21, early January last year, to close to $80 per day in some locations today in the country. And our compensation template under the pricing regime that we are running today did not anticipate, didn't see that coming. So somebody has to pay for this, and so that adjustment must take place. And of course, you also have a secondary issue, which is the issue of managing the depots themselves and the trucks. For instance, every depot buys equipments and facilities, manages them from materials that they have to buy overseas. And those materials, we must find FX to buy them, foreign exchange to buy them. They also move, prices move without any reference to our local situation. So their costs rise while we are not able to adjust for the benefit that they will require from the pricing template for them to recover their total cost.
The feelers out there is that people are blaming the NNPC. How do you absorb? Can you absorb the NNPC of all of these problems?
Yes, I don't think it's about absorbing any institution. I think it's a systemic issue. It's a major distribution issue, and then also the challenge of a value chain. For instance, when the products come into this country, you have to move them into ship-to-ship vessels, into terminals. A number of partners, institutions are involved in that process. There's no one single point where you say this institution is responsible for this, because you have a chain of issues. You need the Navy, you need the inspectors, you need NNPC, you need the regulators. Everybody has to align until you take this product to its final destination. So when you come to cross-border smuggling of petroleum products, it's very obvious that so much is being done. I've engaged the customs service substantially. They are doing so much work around it to make sure that we contain that situation. But it's not really not about NNPC or any institution. It is an arbitrage environment. Once you create a huge arbitrage environment, you're going to have this challenge. It's not even about the people. It's the incentive that is there. For instance, when you take a truck of fuel in Lagos and you take it to a regular filling station, say in Maiduguri, the furthest part of the location, your net gain is 270. Your margin is 270,000 naira. Just imagine If you are able to take this same product across the border, you can have margin of up to 40 million naira or 50 million naira. So it's very, very impossible for you to contain a situation where you have an arbitrate environment that is very simple to contain. It's not really about.
I mean, how do we then contain it? I mean, I'm quick to start thinking about the pains of Nigeria and how that will ease. But that arbitrate environment that you talk about, how do we contain it? It can no longer continue, can it?
Yes, arbitrage is, two things are responsible for arbitrage. First of all, as a country, and I really do see why this is coming from, and the reason why government will insist on a subsidy regime. We know the relationship between petroleum prices and commodity prices. Nonetheless, it is the policy of government to sustain a subsidy environment. That means your prices here are cheaper than what you have across the border. Now, the second part of it is that even where you have an environment where the prices have normalized, coming even to market, assuming the prices in Nigeria is the same thing with Nigeria, Republic of Benin, Cameroon, and so on. Even if you do this, you have a reality around you, which is that these countries are currently fiscally challenged. They are not able to import this petroleum. But we keep data on around who imports what into what country. Now we know that they simply cannot do this. It would have been a market situation. It would have been an advantage to our country delivering product to this location. So the combination of these two will make it practically difficult for you to control cross-border smuggling.
So I'm quick to look at solutions now before I get into the other technical details. Because as far as every Nigerian is concerned, as soon as we said we're going to speak with you, what they are concerned about is when will these problems, these fare queues, because you transport into something else, cost of transportation will jack up, and cost of commodities also will jack up. So when do you think we can finally have a breath of fresh air when it comes to this issue of scarcity of fuel, or the queues that we're seeing across the country?
Yes, I think it's good to also address why do you have the queues to begin with. I think it's very important to answer that question before you jump to when will it end. First of all, once you have a glitch, there's a mindset that will come with it, very, very natural anywhere in the world, that when people see some semblance of scarcity, when they see a queue of 10 cars in a filling station, for instance, the natural thing anyone will do is that if your tank is at half full, you say, let me just peel off. And then when you enter the fuel station, in the past, it is very possible for people to say, let me just buy 10,000 naira worth of fuel or 5,000 naira worth of fuel. But once you see a situation where you may not have the next time you come back, the chances are that people will fill up your tank. So ultimately, people will stay longer in the fuel station even though you have fuel that is available for dispensing. And this is very, very natural and understandable. What we're doing under this circumstance is to make sure more fuel than normal is available so that everyone that comes in to fill his tanks is able to fill his tank and leave, so that over a period of time, those requirements will ease out, and so that those people will not jump into the fuel. So the real reason really is not about even scarcity. They are falling, for instance, today, year to date, our average evacuation from the depots is up to 63 million liters a day. So there is no paucity of delivery into the fuel station. There's no way you can actually explain that there's a lack of fuel in the country, but it's in the wrong location in most of the times. And secondly, not just in the wrong location, people have reacted very, very
Which of these locations are the wrong locations you're referring to?
Yes, what I mean by wrong location is that once you have a situation of arbitrage, oil marketing companies and oil traders will naturally find where is the highest price that I can get. So they will move those products to those locations, and those locations can be the fuel station. They can be in trucks. It makes sense now for business to say, okay, let me keep it wherever I can find somebody who is going to buy at 350, I'll sell it to him. So cumulatively, you have so much volume in your hands, but it's not getting to the right location. And secondly, because of this situation that has come on the table, when people go into fuel station, they will naturally fill their tanks. And filling that tanks means that you spend more time in the fuel station. Mind you also, there's another secondary issue that you have to deal with. When people come in, today now our country is making progress through the electronic platform for payment. Sometimes these platforms don't work efficiently as you want. So instead of spending 5 minutes making the payment, you probably do 10 minutes. And where there's any glitch on technology, people will insist that, look, I will leave this place until you fill my time. So a combination of issues that actually brought up this situation.
For those who see conspiracy here, are they wrong?
conspiracy. Why would anyone do this? I think this is the...
It's a widespread feeling across the country that there is a conspiracy against the Nigerian people to suffer, to make them suffer.
Maybe let me state it differently. First of all, I think there's hardship caused by this situation, no doubt about it. People spending more time in fuel stations than they would have ordinarily done. People paying more for what they could have paid less. And not only that, losing man hours and so many other complications and pains. So we apologize to Nigerians for this. We're sincerely sorry that this happened. But simply, it cannot be a matter of conspiracy. It is impossible. When the floods came, the floods don't respect anyone. They don't respect any situation. Remember that for about 10 days, there's not a single vehicle that crossed Lokoja into Abuja, for instance. By implication, crossing into most part of northern part of this country. And very recently, I'm sure you're very familiar with this, very recently we have seen a situation where because of an accident of 2 trucks around Agge in Niger State, trucks could not leave that location for 3 to 4 days. You have hundreds of trucks lined up in that location, but they cannot move. So once you have that glitch, it sends a number of other collateral consequences. They come up, natural, it's very natural. So once you're not able to deliver to one city, people will see there's constraint, even though you have the product in the trucks, and then they'll start queuing up. And that queuing up can only be freed when you have excess supply coming into those locations.
So and those who hold the view that are some people who are benefiting from the challenges that the suffering that Nigerians are facing. It takes me to the question, about 64.4 million is about the average volume that we have. But since I'm speaking with you now, there's this disparity. Customs have said at some point that that Nigeria is not consuming as much as the volume NNPC says we are consuming. And those who will think that if Nigeria has so much of that volume, we shouldn't be experiencing this kind of glitch. Can you give us the figure? What is the consumption per day that Nigerians are consuming on petrol?
I don't know if you have bothered to look at our website. 2 days ago, we published the total volume of petroleum product dispatched from the depots, evacuation from the depots in the last 1 week. And it's very, very clear that what we have done, average from January 1st, from the beginning of the year to today, we have done average of 63 million liters of evacuation from the evacuation from the depot. Let me be very, very precise.
Every day?
Every day, average, since January 1st. Now, the meaning of that is that we know every truck that has left every depot in this country. We have numbers, truck numbers, destination fuel stations, destination states. And we have also published this by list of states where those trucks go, the number of trucks that have left those trucks. Now, when they leave the depot, so where would they end up with? That's the question. And that is what would have translated into national consumption. Today, I've made it very clear that it is practically impossible under an arbitrary environment and also under a situation where your neighbors are helpless for you to say that there will be no cross-border movement of petroleum products. That's why we're making it legitimate in the sense that NNPC is now buying fuel stations across our borders so that we can deliver to them legitimately. It's very simply impossible to stop this until you're able to resolve this arbitrary issue. So definitely what you're dealing with is a logistic challenge rather than anything else. So now coming back to your question, when would that ease come? I think it's a very valid question. For instance, once you're able to put up more product into the market, deliver more than what the country needs, which is essentially what you have to do so that you can achieve that optimum level, so that ultimately people will go to the fuel station, fill their tanks, and they will have no need for coming back until after a week or so, and then that way you can achieve stability. And we have tested this. It works. For instance, in Abuja here, under normal circumstances, what we call dispatches into Abuja is around 120 trucks to 130 trucks maximum. Now, we have done consistently over 150 trucks in the last 1 week. And the end result is that you are seeing the queues have gone. So we know that the solution is excess supply. So once you're able to do excess supply across the country, across location, you are going to resolve this issue.
When are you likely to have that?
Exactly what we are doing now. We are ramping up evacuation today in many depots on daily basis. Today now we are doing more than 70 million liters into the market against the regular evacuation level of up to 63 to 64 million liters. So this will work. And we believe that the ease that we are seeing in many locations today, and I don't want to cite specific location, but I know that we are seeing ease across the country. This is easing up. I believe very strongly that within the next 1 week, I'm not saying that you are going to have 0 queues in the next 1 week, no. I can't guarantee that because a number of things are out of our control. And of course, the market forces will determine some of these issues. But I believe that we are going to see substantial and relative ease compared to today in the next 1 week.
That sounds like a good news. I mean, for a lot of Nigerians, and that should calm some nerves because people, and what happens is that when there are queues, it causes traffic. People panic and there are a lot of things happen. There are all those, those who also of the opinion that why deliver to tank farms who do not have sufficient filling station? They are not as close to the to those who are buying on the road. Why not dispense straight to those who have filling station? Why are you not considering that?
Yes, you have two categories of marketers in our terrain. You have marketers who are integrated end to end. That means they have their vessels, they have their fuel stations, they have their depots. And then you have marketers who don't have this. Now, when you pull all the marketers that have integrated capability, even if they don't have the vessels to begin with, they cover only 60% or about 50 to 60% of the total national fuel station spread in the country. So when you say you are left with this, you can't do it. But then you have another set of marketers who don't own depots. They are called the independent marketers. They constitute a very, very huge fragment of the marketing framework that we have in this country. So you must have facilities that will deliver product to them. And that's why you cannot avoid having depots that are delivering to those who don't own these depots, but these depot owners don't necessarily need to own a fuel station. And why do we even have these depots to begin with? It's a pipeline problem. Because in our country today, the way we are organized in terms of the pipeline network is in such a way that no city, no location will be further than 400 kilometers from the nearest depot. That means that you do not need this large number of trucks that we are seeing in the country. You're also bringing product close to its users. But our pipelines are not functioning. And why are they not functioning? For instance, they have integrity issues, no doubt about it. But more than this, for instance, let me put it in perspective. You recall what happened in Jesse around 1998, where a number of people died, unfortunately. But the real reason was that they were trying to scoop fuel from our pipeline. And there was so much vandal action on those pipelines that since that day till now, we are not able to pack petroleum product to that line.
The pipeline still looks, to me, like what we see in other climes as a reasonable means of transporting the product. But what is the permanent solution? We must be thinking about that.
It's not just reasonable. Pipeline is the cheapest way of transporting petroleum, any form of liquid.
There are maintenance issues, there are integrity issues on these pipelines. What are you doing to ensure that going forward we have a solution, a permanent fix?
No, maybe
vandalism.
Maybe differently. What are we doing now? I think this is a better way of putting this question. So I'm returning
what is being done now? So what is being done now?
What's being done now is that we have put in place a build, operate, and transfer mechanism. We have selected contractors who will put their money, billions of naira, to make replacement on those pipelines, to put their money so that these depots become functional once again, and not only that, so that they can recover their costs from the tariff that will come from this pipeline, to make business sense. That's what we're doing now.
You have been also blamed, the NNPC that is, of lack of forecasting, and that if you had forecast properly, maybe we wouldn't have found ourselves. You've given a lot of explanation about how we found ourselves here. We learned some lessons about looking ahead and projecting properly. Should we have any kind of exigency or emergency like we had in the flooding issue, which is one of the situations that you said came up as an emergency?
Yes, let me also still come back to the pipeline. When the pipelines were active, those depots are designed to be holding national strategic reserve. That means that at any one time, the interland depots have capability to hold up to 30 days of national supply. That means that, first of all, you're not going to have problem or long distance travel. So it minimizes the risks of issues around access to road, stability of our roads, and also natural phenomena like flood and other weather issues. Once the pipelines are not available, you are left with nothing other than manage the trucks. And those trucks, reliability or redundancy is just 3 days. That's the point I'm trying to make now. So there's no amount of forecast that you will make that will tell you there will be flood. So that doesn't exist. So once you have a glitch of 3 days, you will have to recover from it. There's no other way of doing it today now, other than restoring the pipeline.
There's another knotty issue, which is the issue of the subsidy. As the only importer of the fuel into the country, how do you calculate, how do you tabulate the issue of subsidy?
It's very simple. First of all, we transfer product to oil marketing companies at 113 naira per liter, so that we can establish a transfer price, that's a market price of 170. That was 1 year ago. So that's the basis of all the estimates. Now, there's some adjustment that has brought us to the reality of the cost of vessel that I've mentioned over and over. And that adjustment took us to a different level in terms of the logistics. But what is firm, what NNPC has kept hold, is the transfer price from our import, we call it the landing location, into the marketing companies. So today now, if you just check, this is not rocket science, anyone can find this out. Today, yesterday's data is that this product will land in this country at 295 naira to the liter. That means you have to sell it at 113 to the marketing companies so that they will be able to maintain the current subsidy regime that we are running. It means you have about 185 naira per liter of subsidy on every product that comes into this country. Now, if you look at the average that we have done of 63 million liters January to date, and you convert it to 365 days, that means you need 4.27 trillion naira for you to meet the subsidy requirement for this country. This is really what you are dealing with. That's what subsidy means.
At what point are you paying the subsidy?
Today, we are the only importer of petroleum product. We have nowhere by law, there's a provision for 3.36 trillion naira for January to June ending subsidy regime for the country. That means technically, the Ministry of Finance is supposed to be giving us checks against this subsidy value on monthly basis. But it's not a real situation in the sense that we are a company owned by the state today. We have fiscal obligations because whatever you do, ultimately, whatever money NNPC makes is from the fiscal obligation, taxes, royalties, and margin. All three, as today, because we have not diluted the ownership of this company, all three belong to the state today. So the only way NNPC can do this is to hold back the fiscal obligation so that we can use that to buy the product and come and sell it to the market.
Let's close this conversation and in this manner. The essence or the reason or the purpose of this conversation is about the groaning and the pains of the average Nigerian. Some of those who do not understand the technicalities of what these problems are. And it is unbelievable, and some of them cannot even wrap their heads around how Nigeria, that has huge deposits of this product under the soil, will be suffering for the product just for them to move around. What promise can you make if you tell Nigerians, millions of them who are watching you tonight, that in the foreseeable future, this kind of problem will not be seen? And the fact that what's soothing and what of hope can you tell them this hour that will give them some kind of relief from the pains of the past few months?
First of all, I apologize for this situation. On behalf of all of us in the stakeholders in the oil and gas industry, definitely not surely exclusive. But having said this, and it's unfortunate, it's a glitch. We are responding to this glitch. We'll resolve this. Will bring succor and relief to Nigerian people. No doubt about it. No one orchestrated this. We have no benefit in doing this. We have families. We are members of part of this community. We are very, very proud of this country. We would like this country to prosper. We don't want Nigerians to suffer. And of course, as a matter of conviction, that we don't think that anyone should go through this. Now, having said this, you must have energy security in your country. That's what every country does. In many countries, you find out that it's the armed forces who actually keep the strategic stock for their countries, because that's very critical, so that you don't run into the kind of situation that we are seeing today, even when it happens, so that you're able to come out of it very, very quickly. By the way, having fuel queues is really not something that is local to any one country. It happens everywhere whenever you have other glitches of price, pipeline issues, and so on and so on. But we don't hope that this happens to our country. But you must have guarantee of supply in your country. which is why we're focused on delivering our refineries rehabilitation projects so that ultimately this product becomes close to us. The Dangote refineries come by. The combination of this is that you will have product close to you. Now, this hasn't happened. The refineries rehabilitation is not completed. The Dangote refinery hasn't taken up. They will happen. Both of them will happen. Once that happens, you have the safety and security of supply near you. But in the absence of this, what do you do? Just like any other country who may not have those resources, is to import. And the guarantee I have now is that NNPC has locked supply into this country irrespective of the financial situation the challenges that we are facing. So we do not have delivery problem, we do not have supply problem, that we are sure that the requirement of 63 to 66, whatever volume, up to 66 million, the NNPC has made plans, the vessels are arriving, they are in line of sight, and people can check this. They are not hidden. In fact, we're actually considering publishing the name of the vessel that people can see, except for some security consideration. Otherwise, we have firm supply arrangement in the country. Now, the next thing you have to do is to deliver this product from this mother vessel into fuel station. To that, you need marine vessels, you need depots, you need trucks, you need to engage stakeholders, you need to have support of government security agencies, you need to have support of state governments.
Are you getting that?
Yes, I think I can.
Are the independent marketers on board?
Would all, and I'd like just to thank them for they have given us all the cooperation that we require in the last 2 weeks. We have reached agreement and understanding with them. We are managing the prices jointly with them. They're making sure that trucks will be available. We're able to meet the requirements for this truck to move around, and we're also able to provide every other support that is required, including by government security agencies, to make sure that they deliver to this. I think we have a start of relief.
So 1 week, Nigerians will see a dramatic difference.
There will be a difference, absolutely.
Well, that's it on that interview with Mele Kyari, the Group CEO of the NNPC Company Limited. Find the rest of that interview on channelstv.com on our YouTube. That's our show for tonight. I'll see you tomorrow. God bless Nigeria.